It's just we don't want to be called budak.
Yeah.
I don't want to be called belajar lagi.
Yeah.
You know, like duduk lah budak, belajar
Yeah,
lagi.
yeah.
Okay, everyone, welcome to our podcast. We are called Sembang Santai. We are with a guest here, Alyaah Hani. She's the founder of Liga Mahasiswa and
Gerakan Perempuan Melawan.
so it's going to be an incredible podcast. Actually, our podcast is about youth advocacy, social awareness, and amongst different things, and things that where we really want to advocate for some form of youth development in civil life and social awareness. So, yeah, Hani, what's your story?
Alright, so hi everyone. My name is Alyaah Hani. You can call me Hani. I'm a upcoming final year of law student in University Malaya. I am the co-founder, actually, there are other founders as well, of Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia and Gerakan Perempuan Melawan. Today, I would be happy to share about my activism journey as well as my women empowerment journey.
Well, Hani, Alyaah Hani, it's so great to have you on the podcast. I just want to know, what inspired you to found Liga Mahasiswa?
Alright, so basically, Liga Mahasiswa is still a baby organization.
Mhm.
We haven't reached 1 year yet. We started this January 2025. So basically, the reason why there are another person, Asanul, he's a first year in University Malaya. So when we sit together and we found that student activism in Malaysia back then in January is in a worrying state. For example, me and him, we do not want to be in a student movement that is affiliated to any political party, national political party. So basically, the status quo was the movements inside University Malaya back then, every student movements or gerakan is backed by a national political party. So where do we go? Because we want to stay non-partisan. So we thought maybe we should create another platform for students who, don't want to be affiliated to any political front. So that is when the idea of Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia came in, and we started it with just University Malaya. And as we grow now, we have Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia and we have University Malaya, Liga Mahasiswa University Science Malaysia in Penang, Uniza in Terengganu, UTM in Johor, and we are still growing now.
Wow.
So that is how the idea of Liga Mahasiswa first established. But we are moving with threefold principles. First is student autonomy, where we believe that we students should not be treated just as stakeholders, but also the co-owner of education. Second is social justice. We think that students should be independent, not affiliated or concentrated in just political party spectrum. We think that they should move independently and be aware of the social issues that is currently going on, be it inside campus, community around campus, and on a national scale. And the third one is intellectualism, where we believe, the status quo, maybe we can dissect this more on later, that the current academic freedom status in Malaysia in a worrying state. There are a few programs that are cancelled by the administration of the university without a proper justification. For example, Liga Mahasiswa tried to help an academic forum in regards to Peaceful Assembly Act 2012 inside University Malaya, but we got kicked out by the administration. That is the state of our university now, that there are confusions on what kind of forum that is allowed, and if that sort of assembly is not allowed in university, that does not sound right. Right? Because we believe in Liga, we believe that every inch of university compound should be filled with discussions, intersection of ideas, and discussions among students. So we're thinking, if in university we're not allowed to do that, then this is something that we don't want to tolerate.
Yeah, of course.
So we want to move. As much as we are vocal about social issues, we want to be backed by intellectualism activities as well.
What are it's interesting that you brought up a lot about rights for students, and of course, but I'm very curious because our podcast actually we do a lot of things on stories, storytelling. And what are the most common stories that you would hear that students are facing a struggle in terms of their rights?
Alright, so basically, for your information, the Malaysian university students is governed by AUKU, which is University and Colleges University Act.
Yeah.
So back then, right now, the AUKU, the status quo, it has undergone a lot of amendments. But back then, we are not allowed to involve in any sort of political act. So you cannot be in any political party, you cannot do anything that is described as political, which is very vague, and you cannot control your own financial status as students. So there are a lot of limitations and restrictions as students. But now, even though after the amendments for the better, we are still, still in that position that we think we're still restricted. Not many students are aware of the current amendments, and because of that, although the fact that ALKU has been amended, but still, the things that we want to do, like I said earlier, we want to do forum inside the university, we are still being, subject to repercussions. So we question then, if the Principal Act is saying so, but university is also allowed to make their own regulations that the students need to abide. And each university in Malaysia has different regulations for their student. For example, maybe we can say UM is more liberal on that. They're more, accepting students' activism. But what about university in Terengganu, in Kedah? So we're not having the same, sort of regulations on campus level. So what is the point? One. So technically, our freedom of peaceful assembly is technically not being celebrated enough. Second is our freedom, free speech issues juga. Because this is the thing. For example, in university, our forum topic still need to be filtered by the administration.
So what foreign topics have that been proposed recently?
Okay, so for example, there's this one that is my faculty is doing, which is about Nick Allen case, if you know. The one that she challenged for Sharia Court, right? So basically, we trying to help that academic forum by inviting Nick Allen herself to our faculty, and that program has gone through all the official, way to get the proposal approved, and it was approved. But a few days before the forum was held, it got cancelled.
It got cancelled.
It got cancelled by the administration, saying that for certain reasons. Yeah, so this is the thing that us students are still confused on what we can do and what we cannot do. So this is something that we always criticize. If we want the students to move forward, to be able to think critically, but at the same time, you are limiting our scope of discussion, this is not correct, especially when you have given us the right to vote.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? So we're still thinking that they are treating universities as high school.
As high schools,
Yeah. So these are the few challenges that a student face now.
Could you explain a little bit more about Nick Allen's case to the audience? Because some of them, they may know about it in depth, some may not.
Yeah, so basically Nick Allen challenged the Sharia Court's jurisdiction, and it was passed by the federal court. So that case went a bit controversial from the conservative side, saying that Nick Allen is now making Islam position in our country. So
like weakening that.
That's the summary of that case.
That case, right? No, I get it, because funny thing enough, you're talking about the weakening of position of Islam in this country. I was actually at a forum where. So this forum got cancelled 4 times. The forum's title was, I think you might know what I'm talking about. It was called, "Is Malaysia
a
a secular or an..."
I know.
Yeah. And I think the faculty members who put that, you might have known that.
Yeah.
They're all young guys, by the way. They are about 18, 19 years old. And I was like, it's incredible. So I attended a forum that may never be launched ever again. And Siti Kasim was there, Professor Dato Manuti was there as well. It was incredible. And the strength of the students' voice was so powerful. I was just wondering, do you have like insane stories of putting together forums or programs that were like, oh my gosh, it got cancelled last minute? And
Yeah, I have 2 stories in fact.
Yeah.
First one did not happen in University Malaya, but it happened in University Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we held a forum about stateless. This is organized by Himpunan Advocacy Rakyat Malaysia, another student movement, student coalition named Haram, known as Haram. So they did an academic forum on stateless. It was first held at UIA because they want to do university tour. So the forum went well, but suddenly there's a blackout.
Oh, okay.
But that was a planned blackout by the administration, and it happened. It was quite chaotic for a while. That director of that university had to come down and settle it.
Professor Emeritus Osman Dr.
I'm not really, I don't remember his name.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it gets to the point that there is a conflicting, decision by the executor of administration, the police bantuan, the pegawai-pegawai, and the administration of universities. But this is the sort of things that students need to face regardless of the things that we're not doing not even that, not even that serious.
Yeah.
We're having like a normal academic forum and we invited, competent speakers. So that is quite saddening. I was there as the participants. And the second time, like I said in the very beginning of this video, that Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia wanted to hold a forum, academic forum, in regards to Peaceful Assembly Act. Because there was a moratorium given by the Prime Minister after Hipnar Ibn Shiraswa 1.0 in regards to the permission of the premise owner. So we want to discuss that more. So we invited lawyers, we invited student activists, and we invited Fahmi Reza.
As well.
So technically, there was like, I think 7 to 8 police bantuan came to us and said they received arahan instruction from the higher ups. Technically, we're thinking it's HCP administration that says that we cannot do it in university compound.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so you know what we did? We don't want to cancel the whole forum because we think it's still very important for students to understand the recent amendments. So what we did was we went out to in front of UM gate, the KL gate, and we did it right in front of them. But then they cannot do anything, because they said we need to do it outside.
Were you the one carrying the sign?
Most of our students, but most of them are from Liga as well. So we did exactly that. But because of that, there were police, like real police came in to, on patrol. But that is very interesting. Because we're not even doing anything like, chaos or riot. We're not even doing something that might cause any public discomfort. We're just doing a forum. So apart from that, there is also one incident where it was in my faculty as well. There was one event named Consul Colloquium, whereby there were a few series of forum being held, and one of it being about freedom of speech. And I was invited as the panelist. Apart from me was Adam Ali.
Adam Ali was
Yes,
wow.
but when he and his team found out that I will be there as part of the panelists, they wanted me out.
Adam Ali is the head for youth.
He's the Timbalan Menteri.
Yeah, Timbalan Menteri.
Timbalan, Deputy Minister.
Deputy Minister.
Yeah, and he was a student activist.
But to be frank, even with with Adam Ali, PKR, they don't really respect Adam Ali as much. Right? So.
I'm not really sure about inside PKR stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he lost a lot of respect from a student activist.
Yeah, he's losing respect everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, but I sort of think he deserved it because of him. What he had done when he forgot all his principles and the things that he fought for when he was a student activist. Now everyone is being skeptical to the current student activists, saying that we might want to be a minister one day. That's why we're doing this now. So I feel like if the figure of Adam Ali did not done that mistake, then perhaps the student movements now is more, more in strength. I think.
So technically, you feel that your movement has only benefited from the mistake of Encik Ali.
We had to face what he had done now.
Where do you see the vision of student advocacy in education in the long term? Because it sounds like this. I remember there's a quote by Lee Kuan Yew. He said that to lead Singapore, you need a iron heart, but to lead Malaysia, I think you need a heart that's much stronger. As I said, he said that you need a heart that's titanium. So I was wondering, where do you see the heart of student advocacy in academia?
Alright, so interestingly, historically we look back, student activists used to be a phenomenon, but it died down because of COVID, because of the fact that the former government, the Barisan Nasional regime, had fallen down, and now Pakatan Rakyat had naik, and so because of that, student movement had died down because most student movements are affiliated and backed by political front. So when the political front is now in power, they are no longer being supported. You get me? So it died down. The spirit of fighting died down because now their backed party is being the government. So we think that 2025, or I think in late 2024, student activism is starting back again. It started in Sabah actually, from University Malaysia Sabah.
Okay.
In fact, Hamdin is here, although the camera cannot see him. I think, based on my observation, I think he started the phenomenon back.
Oh wow.
So basically, they did a demonstration after years of not having student demonstration. He did it because they demanded for basic necessity of water in University of Malaysia Sabah. They had a problem with that. So the demonstration, and he called for student movements in Peninsula to support that. And that is when Himpunan Advocacy Rakyat Malaysia, the coalition of a few student movements, was built. And because of that, there are series of demonstrations, student-led demonstration up until now. So we're thinking the late 2024 until the 2025, it is starting again. The spirit of student movement is starting again, and we're hoping to see more student movements are arising. Like Liga, we are actually really inspired of this. We take it as like a panggilan lah for student movement to be alive again. That is why we made a new movement as well. So yeah.
So you're trying to be the kind of like you're trying to be the example, essentially, yeah.
Sort of, because we want to make it known that even a movement that is not backed by a political party can also survive.
No, I just want to pause there for a moment. I think this is so important because, I think the thing about Malaysia, one of the problems we have, especially the older generations, that there's this mindset that where you need to be involved in frontline politics to bring change. But as we all know, we look at Malaysia, we have think tanks like Ideas, Merdeka Center, we have so many different, like even Architects of Diversity, where they are not a think tank, but they do a lot of programs and stuff like that. So for advocacies, interfaith dialogues and stuff. So, and these are apolitical people trying to change a nation. And I think that's the narrative that perhaps you guys are trying to change.
Yeah, definitely. Because we have seen how student movements have failed and died because of their dependence to the political parties. And we don't want to repeat the same mistake.
Yeah.
So we want to try to bring to the rakyat again that not all student activists aim to actually be a politician.
Yeah.
We want to correct this stigma and perception that is caused by the previous generation, sort of. So we're trying to do that as well. But in regards to our advocacy on education, I am happy to share that Liga Mahasiswa is currently working on initiative for free education campaign.
Really?
Yeah. So we're starting on that. We made a consolidation with other student movements. We presented our idea and our idea paper and our research. I think you attended our debate, right?
I did. Rafizi and
KJ.
KJ.
Yeah, that is the starting of our. We're trying to bring this issue as a national conversation again because it is now quite not being talked about. We think, So we're trying to gauge all the student movements, see if anyone would join us in the secretariat, and we're planning a whole timeline for this campaign and bring this to the government too. At least because we think this is a part of their manifesto as well before they become the government. So we think they're forgetting this, and the reason why after each new government has in power, the idea of free education died down because there is no blueprint.
Yeah, I remember.
Not the government did a blueprint.
No, I remember. During when Barisan Nasional was in power, then you had Najib and stuff like Najib Razak and stuff like that. There was a lot of campaigning on free education. I remember, like, you had the Tamil community campaigning, the Chinese, you had the Malay community, you had E40 communities. And then I think, as you mentioned, when COVID died down, when COVID happened, a lot of the... Yeah, I just want to say, let's backtrack for a while. I'm not sure how much you know, but what is the history of the campaigns?
Yeah, so basically, based on my reading, there's one campaign, Hapus PTPTN. It was actually organized by Adam Adli himself as well, and his gang, student activists.
Oh, he did one thing right.
Yeah. But the thing is that it died down. The campaign was a failure now, because now that even he is in the government, he didn't talk about it. He even said that, because now I'm in government, it's very hard for me to propose this idea because of collective responsibility or whatever.
Are you serious?
Yeah. We're not accepting that lah. So we want to, call him out and say, what we're doing now is what you did before. So please, respond to this.
Imagine this: the deputy minister and the youth minister is saying that it doesn't represent a collective. When the future of our negara depends on the collective of the youth.
Yes, exactly. That is why most students now are demanding for the reformation that they claim they want to do. But it has been very slow, and they have a few years left. So there's no guarantee that we will vote for you again if you're not fulfilling your promises now. So we're trying to push harder and harder every day.
Yeah. There's two things I'm gonna ask you, but I think so far we've got a very clear stance on who you are and at least what you stand for and the people that backs you up. But I want to know who is Alyaah Hani. You know, where did you grow up? You know, because I'm very curious. So Faiza and myself, Faiza's about 27, I'm 26. You know, and Faiza and I, you know, we were just wondering like, oh my gosh, this girl is so much more younger than we are. You know. There you go, Faiza. You know, and so we are curious, like, what made you get into this thing? Was your parents ever in politics? Or?
I see. Actually, no. So maybe I can rewind back to
Sure.
I was in Form 5.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was in Form 5, I participated in Dewan Undangan Negeri Belia Kedah. So there I advocated for Nilam. I'm not sure if you know the Nilam program, the reading program. It was a useless program, in all honesty. So I advocated and recommended a few mechanisms to make that thing works, because we don't want it to go to waste. So I did that, and after each year I joined like sort of like a youth parliament sitting things like Parlimen Wanita Muda Malaysia, Dewan Muda Malaysia, and because of that series, it made me start my activism that early. But it's more on like a diplomatic way of approach.
Okay.
Like more on parliamentary sitting. So when I get into university, I sort of stopped that because I focus on my law degrees. But I have seen how a lot of problems in university, like it doesn't feel right for me to just stay silent, but at the same time I don't have a platform. Because every student movement are contesting for campus election, and I'm not interested to be part of campus election. So where do I go? And at the same time, I was a part of student parliamentary in University Malaya as well. So I've seen ways of students trying to fight for all the causes they believe in, but through diplomatic way. Like, you get me? Like through parliamentary, trying to negotiate with the administration. So I thought, and I read history on student activism. There are also other ways that is, very minority now in the spectrum of student activism. It's more on like being vocal and being more confrontational with the administration. So we try to venture into that, and we collect people who is, maybe we're not really keen on being negotiable with the administration. So we collect our own community and we try to do the things that we can. For example, we do student protests, we voice out and be very vocal about our demands. And I think we need that. I think both style of student activisms are very much needed.
So you're saying we need the diplomacy and also the socialist.
Yeah. Alright, so basically Fahmi Reza, he had created this like sort of concept of student activism. There are two types of student activism. One is reformer, the one that is where the one that became the student union, blah blah blah. The one that another one is rebels.
Rebels, yeah.
So basically, rebels are more, their approach is more confrontational. They go on streets. They demand things for more radical ways. So we believe these two types of student movements needs each other to work together to the same objective.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we cannot have just one way of activism, and what if this way is being ignored?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so we need both style of student activists need to sort of tekan and demand.
Tekan.
Yeah.
No, by the way, please have your drink. No, I just want to comment on that actually. Funny thing enough, I'm actually a member of Parti Socialist Malaysia. But I haven't been so involved in it. I love Parti Socialist Malaysia not because I'm not really a socialist actually. I'm more of someone who loves grassroots work.
I see.
And I love Parti Socialist Malaysia because their work with the AI and how they're using AI advocacy to look at specific issues and social issues and whatnot. And they're very grassroots. They work with farmers and all this kind of good stuff that we need in society. But there's also a thing where like when you're someone who wants to just do the grassroots work, you kind of just want to get the job done. people are like kind of like, oh, but when are you going to deal with the race issue? When are you going to deal with it? But the thing is, we don't always need that kind of like that narrow, gerakan movement, to politics. So no, I'm very happy to hear that there's some sense of diversity, But I'm also curious, like you as a law student, right? So earlier you mentioned that students try to use the diplomacy. Yeah, I want to know details if you can.
All right. So, for example, of course, we have the right, the right way to voice things out.
Yeah.
Sending letters, go meeting with the administration, try to negotiate, try to demand in like a polite way. But that way hasn't been effective for long.
Okay.
For example, there's an accommodation issue in University Maya. They are increasing the quota of their student intake, but we don't have enough accommodation and hostels. So they try to, the student representative try to, use this diplomatic way, meet at meetings, blah blah blah. But we don't think it works. They might not hear us, or they don't want to hear us, whatever that is. We think there is a need of a new style of trying to advocate for this issue. Then we go for a protest, demanding for the same thing. But now it getting coverage from the media outlets.
That's good.
So we're trying to intensify the tension and pressure to the administration so that they fulfill our demands. Here's the thing. The accommodation is not enough, and not all students are being provided with accommodation, but the fees are still the same.
Yeah.
But we're not subjected to the same infrastructures. You get me? So we still think that is something we need to fight for and try to experiment every way possible to ensure that not only our voices are being heard, but it is also being taken action to taken into account. Yeah.
It's funny thing you mentioned about the fee. I think earlier this year, I'm not sure if it's affected the law faculty yet, but when you look at the pendidikan pergigian, dentistry, education of dentistry, if you look at medical sciences and whatnot, at one point in time, I think those fees were about 250,000. It's increased by 50% to 500K. Some of them have increased to about 700,000 ish just to study, and like it's all increased. So I remember there was this girl, she got on TikTok to say like, what is ridiculous? You guys are increasing so much for public education fees, but then you're not even providing the most basic of research. No, like I knew someone who, for example, she did genetical research. And one of the most advanced genetical researchers out there, it's in regards to cancer cells and stuff. And then, funny thing enough, so there was someone who recruited her, and this lecturer said, "Why don't you study UC Malaya? It's the 60th ranked in the world." When I look at Alyaah Hani's face, she's just like 60th ranked in the world.
Sure.
Nama saja lah, And so, but the thing is, as soon as she steps into it as a PhD student, she has to wait 2 to 3 weeks just for a particular system to fix the science. I don't know how you call it, those mechanics to be fixed, and so her research is postponed, and then she has to go and get it from another place that's 40 kilometers away or 30 kilometers just to get a multiplication of that. Yeah, when you hear situations like this, you feel kind of heartbroken.
Yeah, so basically there's one issue that we are all worried now. We are seeing the privatization of education. We're seeing how public universities are trying to trying to ask us to pay as much as private.
Yeah.
So the increase of fees is very worrying.
Yeah.
One. Second, like you said earlier, how we pay high fees, but the things that we're getting from the university is not even, on par with what we have paid. For example, University of Malaysia Sabah, they don't even have water.
Serious?
But there's no reduce in amount of fees. But these are the things that the student movements there is fighting for, the reduce of fee. But we still think that it is very ridiculous that we need to pay this certain amount, but you're not giving us money. We're not giving us water.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the basic necessity. So this is very worrying. But this is the current state. And we need more voices to fight for this. Yeah.
You mentioned a very important thing, privatization of education. So funny thing, I was only in public school for about maybe 8 months of my life. It was So I never grew up in a whole.
I see.
Yeah, I was mainly homeschool or mainly did more private school homeschooling private school kind of stuff. But But I don't know, for some reason, as time goes on, as I do more research, because my thesis, I'm actually hoping to do on educational policy and also nation building curriculum, my thesis. And when you look at University of Malaya, where do you think the funds actually go? Yeah, because if you talk about privatization, because with privatization of education, you know that, okay, there might be some corruption, but you can clearly see the listings of the details.
Yes.
But does UM ever have that kind of same transparency?
Well, technically, if I'm not mistaken, in AUKU, the students have the right to see the, what do we say, the audit of the financial status of the university. But of course, it has never been shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have the same questions. Why? What do you do with our money?
Yeah.
And you are also increasing the quota of people. Now you're getting more money, but where did it went to? If you're saying that it goes to help, increase the ranking of the university, just so you know, ranking of the university, they consider the amount of publications produced by the university.
Absolutely.
So of course, increasing the student quota help this in a way that you get more students to publish stuff. But in the end of the day, we think university should be more than just that. We think that university structure also includes student welfare. And the things that we're learning every day.
Yeah.
So I have no answer for that. Where does the fund go? And of course, the administration has never been, really responsive on this.
And then one day we'll find out it's going to be another 1 MPBE case or something like that.
There are a lot of scandals, especially in University Kebangsaan Malaysia, if you read.
Yeah, I think we are slowly coming to an end. But I really want to touch on the women's voices. Now, so I was part of Yayasan Social Wanita Malaysia for a very short time. I left because I think I was talking to Alyaah Hani. I said I left because you had one guy who was kind of ruling the whole system, and he was kind of trumpeting his voice over the women.
Ironically.
It's funny, you have a foundation for women, for Wanita, and yet they are not advocating for women's voices. So I want to know what are the women's voices in this?
Alright, so basically, the status quo in Malaysia for student, I can only talk from student perspective. We do not have a female student movement.
Really?
Unlike Indonesia, they have a lot of student feminist groups, and that is very inspiring. I went to Indonesia to learn just for this.
Betul, yeah.
And in Malaysia, there are only two that I know. One is Feminism Club, and the other one is the one that I founded, which is Gerakan Perempuan. But Feminism Club is only for students. But Gerakan Perempuan Melawan, we do it this way. We allow any students want to apply to be part of our comrades. And now we have 80 to 90 members. It's also just a baby organization. It's only been a few months we're operating. But we're receiving a lot of applications. And this is very, something that we need to look further into. It means that the female students are interested in this. They want to have their voices out there, but they do not have a platform. So this is the thing that I've always been saying as well. We need more student movements. We cannot just rely on one or two. So now that we have 80 to 90 members from be it private university, public university, UPTM, all this MARA, IKM, all this, we have members. Even there are high schoolers who try to apply to be part of Gerakan Perempuan Melawan. So what we did in order to gain the solidarity, voices, we give them the platform of Gerakan Perempuan Melawan so that they can use that to voice out what they have in their campus. Women issue, for example, be it kemiskinan height, period poverty, be it sexual harassment. So they can use Gerakan Perempuan Melawan from one voices. We can make that issue as a national conversation, national issue. So with these members being like a collective voice, of course, the pressure to settle that issue is even, And surprisingly, good enough, we do gain support from civil society, non-governmental organizations like Women's Aid Organization, AWAM, and other youth for youth punya movement organization. They are really interested to help us in the way they can. So I think now it is the time for students to experiment more of student activism and try to venture into student activism. Because student activism is not only about you going down the street.
Absolutely, yeah.
It could be in the form of writing, it could be in the form of videography, photography, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I just think that the students need to start somewhere. But at the same time, we never blame them for not starting. Because again, they have this dilemma on what if I do this, I will face repercussions. Yeah. So I blame all of this to the education system that we have.
Yeah.
For example, when Malaysia, lower down the age of voting, we have never been prepared, at least in the public education,
how to
in
vote.
school, high school, how to vote, what kind of political spectrum that we have, what are the parties available. We have never been exposed to that, and you need to learn that on your own. But of course, there will be family influence, yada yada yada. What I'm saying is that our education system still needs to improve a lot.
You opened up a lot of things that I really want to unpack. I think you opened up Indonesia. I've never been to Indonesia, but I've been studying about what Indonesia is doing politically. It's incredible.
Yes.
The diversity they have. Another thing you opened up about was, students. When we are given the right to vote, we can't. Because family. That's obviously one. And by the way, this applies on this grand scale. Whether you're a Malay Muslim, you're a Christian, Indian like myself, or you're Buddhist, Chinese, whatever race, ethnic group, orang asal ke orang asli, semua lah. Everyone, for some reason, is governed by what their family votes, which is very strange to me because growing up, when I want to vote for a particular party, I obviously have family members who are like, I want you to vote for this one. I was like, kenapa macam ni? I have my own choice lah. I also rasa what is right, what is wrong. And I think just like going back to Indonesia, like funny thing enough, Indonesia has a program to teach you how to protest. I'm sure you know.
I'm not. I haven't heard about it before.
You haven't heard?
Yeah.
Indonesia actually has a program to teach you how to actually protest. Like actually go out there and to protest, to form a mob, to form advocacies, to actually write.
I see. But what I know is that even the high schoolers there do protest.
Yeah, high schools do protest. Yeah.
But I'm not sure if they have like a official sort of syllabus on that. I'm not.
Oh
sure.
yeah, no. Yeah. It's a syllabus that's taught outside of school.
Yeah.
But they're given the bandanas. They're given the flags to. Yeah, I want to know your experience. When you're in Indonesia, the type of characters you met in Indonesia.
Yeah, so basically when we went to Indonesia
and how long were you there for?
I think about a week, about 5 days.
5 days.
We met a lot of organizations, all sorts. Anarchist group, the feminist group, the student movements, the NGO, all sorts. Even a political party. Because we want to learn from different perspectives. And I'm very grateful that I was given that privilege to learn. The democracy in Indonesia is alive.
Amazing.
And that is something that, very different from Malaysia.
Yeah.
And they are trying to, provide us with, when you said about, the training or the awareness about them going to protest, what I know is that the student movements there go to high schools to teach the high school kids that you can actually do this.
It's a civil right.
And that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because we university, if you ever want to go to high school, it's about our project.
It's our project.
Yeah, it's a social project. Yes. It's very hard to, masuk high school.
Yeah.
But when I go there, I learn a lot on types of organizations. Because in Malaysia, our traditional way is top to down, top to bottom style of organization. But in Indonesia, they do practice. There are a lot of collectives as well. But the collectives in Malaysia are not as much as in Indonesia. But I think we need more on that. Also, that is very interesting because based on that Indonesia experience I had, we ensure that Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia is a collective movement. So although I am the coordinator, everyone has the same voice as me.
Oh, amazing.
And before we decide on certain things on how we approach certain issues, we would have a discussion first and have a voting session. And we think that is very important to not start a feudal system in the student movement. Yeah. But on feudal stuff, that is more to unpack in Malaysia lah.
We actually still have time. I want to. How are you? So in Malaysia, obviously, feudalism can't be avoided sometimes.
Yeah.
Even among Indians as well, feudalism is still a very much. I want to know the type of how are you tackling feudalism to avoid feudalism within Liga Mahasiswa?
Okay, so basically, of course, we give everyone roles, but again, we keep on reminding that there is no, someone's voice being more important than the others, and we try to ensure that every members have their chance and opportunity to give out their opinions on the way we approach things, because we know that we are always subject to repercussion, especially the things that Liga does is sometimes controversial, and we know that we might face repercussions, even to the extent of being kicked out of university. And that is why when we know we might face that big of consequences, we want everyone to be a part of it. For example, let's just say I am ready to face that, some others might not. So, and it is very selfish of me as a coordinator to put them in this with me. So we made a very clear structure of organization where everyone is collective. And in Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia, every universities are all on the same level. They have the same amount of voice to voice things out for Liga Mahasiswa Malaysia as well.
This could mean both public institutions like UKM, UM, and also private institutions. Or?
Yeah. Every university that is Liga Mahasiswa USM, Liga Mahasiswa UKM, we're all on the same par. Not because UM is the blueprint that it has more power. It is not like that. So those are the things that we're trying to experiment actually in student movement, because there are very, very few student movement that does this style of organization. Most of them are like president, vice president, secretaries, secretary general, blah blah blah. So, and we don't have that. Whoever that wants to take up that role voluntarily, we would appreciate it. And if you feel like, I don't feel like I can do this anymore because I have other commitment, then we can pass it to another person. We are very, very flexible. This is one thing that we want to practice. We think student and youth movements does not need to be rigid. Like, we can be very flexible, and doing it in the Gen Z side of the news.
No, I mean, Faisal, I think Faisal and I obviously we come from different career paths, but we also kind of feel the pressures of the orang tua waga mas to do certain things certain ways. I don't know, like after 60, 65, it's really like, no, but that's it. But I think in saying that, I think it's interesting, because what we are saying is that we do want to give students voices, we do want to give Gen Z, young adults voices, but it can be millennials also. But we are not trying to say that the the Warga Mas or whoever, the orang tua, their voices are not unheard. It's just we don't want to be called budak. I don't want to call belajar lagi. Like duduk lah budak, belajar lagi. I remember when I felt my heart broke when I saw Sai Sadiq a couple of years in Parliament. I was watching this on live TV actually, and I saw Sai Sadiq. He stood up and he was trying to talk for more, right? And then I think I won't mention this. I'll probably get arrested if I do. But there's this guy. He's a bit of a dumbass. Like, he got up and then he started saying like, duduk lah budak, duduk belajar lagi lah, duduk lah, wasting my time. Dia cakap macam tu. So I pun like, wow, my heart really broke. But then I saw Hannah Yo stood up for Syed Saddiq. She said this is bullying. Moa has been called budak so many times already. I think for myself, even in my own, I'm not a politician. I'm just some guy who likes to talk. Every guy just like to talk with you. That's it. No, but like for instance, right? For myself, when I work with more older people, it's sort of like they want you to do the work for them. They want you to get the work done. But then but then they say like, oh, you are inexperienced, you don't know what you're doing. But it's like, yeah, but you want me to get the work done. So why can't we? I just want to know, in a country of adultism, tokenism, and elitism, and all this kind of things, do you see a future for youth's voices like to break free faster, or do you see it like a slower second?
If we have more youth and more students realizing their rights and their power and actually exercising their knowledge, we can get there. It's just that now, not only that we suffer pressure from these people, but also from our own, our own generation, we're not trying to be upfront. Yeah, that's the situation now. So what we're doing is we're trying to, apart from showing that we are, competent and credible enough to say things, we're trying to encourage people our age as well that, we can actually step up.
Yes, step up.
Yeah. And we're trying to always challenge the status quo. Yeah.
So, I think before we come to an end, I just want to ask, what are some practical, because, once we leave this area, and then we are all going to go back to our different lives, people like you and I, we spend time reading about politics, socialism, a lot of issues, but there's so many youths who don't care about this.
Yeah.
For them, it's sort of like, I just want to look after my family, I just want to get my own money, I just want to grow my bungalow in the kampong kind of thing. How do we break, what would your motivation or inspirasi be for students to want to actually study about civil life and get involved?
Yeah. I see, first of all, I never blame those who choose not to care. Because our education system has been lacking on providing us with that awareness and that, telling us that we have the rights to do yada yada. And I think that we all need to start somewhere. You don't have to start off by being vocal directly. Equip yourself with knowledge. Read more on the current issues. Yes, maybe not all issues are affecting you as an individual, but it might affect your family. Then find issues that you are passionate about. Not everyone is passionate about fighting corruption. Not everyone is passionate about the environmental issues. But we can focus on what we are passionate about. We can learn more on that, and we can first start even write about it, talk about it to another person. And we always think of this, activism is something that is very far from us.
Yeah.
You have to have certain criteria of yourself or talent to be an activist. Well, that is not true.
Yeah.
Anything that you're doing, any activity you're doing that is, you fighting for a cause, I think you can be considered as an activist already.
Yeah.
So we need to provide more awareness to people, at least start with people around us, or by showing an example. So this is something that I have taught for a long of time. That is why I have started my own, different account on activism, so that people could see the journey. So some might have known me or already get in the news article or whatever, but I have started somewhere. So everyone can start somewhere. Yeah. And it is not always, activism being glorified. I don't like that idea. I just think that everyone could be an activist if they have actually, being equipped with the awareness that everyone should actually have. But we all blaming the education system.
But it reminds me, pemimpin yang jadi idola. The leader becomes the idol.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what we want to avoid.
Yes.
Moving forward, especially because I think in this world we have too many idols. Sometimes they stand way too long.
Way too long.
Way too long than usual. No, I want to actually say that funny thing, because we talk about education, how education doesn't actually provide us those tools to how we could be student activists and advocacies and whatever. I came from a different education system. Even for me as well, I didn't really know much about civil life, nothing. It was only later on when I turned 17, 18. Then I went to this place called Budaya. Yeah, of course. Everyone who really wants a beautiful Malaysia, you need to go to that bookstore. It's a beautiful place. In fact, I have several books at the back. I think I have about maybe 34, 35 books from Budaya. It's an incredible place, because you enter into a world that makes you think outside of yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's the future for Liga Mahasiswa, and I think that's the future for youth advocacy. That we need to start thinking beyond ourselves. So I think before we end, what are your parting words to youths?
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me.
No,
I really appreciate it.
I
It's
appreciate
my
you
honor.
coming.
And I just think that we should all take this call as students to start somewhere, start caring about not only yourself, but people around you, the community around you, your family, your peers, and start to being the agent of change. And we can all start somewhere by either write-ups, by either talk about it, have discussion with your friends, when you lepak and talk about this. It can be in any form, but I think we all should start somewhere.
Well, guys, there you have it. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be having more episodes coming in, and Aalyah, I would love to have you on.
No problem.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.